Murder in the morning from the Hidden Killers podcast.
Things are starting to look kind of bleak for Sean Diddy Combs, Puff Daddy, whatever you want to call him these days. Sean Diddy engaged in, of course, the high-profile now attorney, or engaged with high-profile attorney Marc Agnifilo. A federal grand jury in Manhattan intensifies its month-long investigation into sex trafficking allegations involving multiple accusers, as now reported by Business Insider. Who is this attorney, Marc Agnifilo? Well, he's a seasoned criminal attorney, known for representing other folks that, I made this point earlier to Bob Mata, a criminal defense attorney that we obviously have here on the show quite a bit. It's not a great look, I feel like. I mean, he's a high-profile one, but to me, it's not a great look that you're hiring the attorney who represented Martin Shkreli, who was in the guy that raised the prescription drug prices to a ridiculous level and then ended up going to prison for that. NXIVM cult leader Keith Raniere, he's in jail for the rest of his life. It doesn't, I don't know. I think I'd go for like a guy who's like won some cases, and I'm sure he has, but he's connected to some really horrible human beings that it seems Diddy may be the next one of. R&B singer Cassie Ventura.
Did you ever think that nobody wants to take him on?
That was kind of what I said too. I said, is the pickings that low that this is the best he could get? And others are just like, no. And I'm sure there's people out there who would gladly represent him just for the publicity, but in terms of a celebrity type attorney, I wonder if there's just not a lot of people who are willing to represent him just for the image of what that would look like. R&B singer Cassie Ventura, of course, triggered all of this with her civil suit. Combs' former girlfriend. Ventura's lawsuit, which alleged that Combs coerced her into a drug-fueled lifestyle and forced her to engage in sex acts with male prostitutes, settled just one day after it was filed last November. Agnifilo explained that Ventura's bombshell lawsuit settled so quickly, additional accusers came out of the woodwork, resulting in a sprawling investigation by prosecutors from the Southern District of New York. Federal authorities have executed searches of Combs' residences in L.A. and Miami, seizing phones and computers in March as part of the ongoing probe. Despite the intensifying investigation, Agnifilo remains optimistic about the outcome. We are firmly convinced that he did not violate any federal laws, and we hope we can work with prosecutors in reaching that conclusion, he stated. Good luck. The legal troubles for Combs have, of course, been mounting, with the Manhattan grand jury probe being the latest in the series of serious allegations. In May, CNN released a 2016 video showing Combs shoving, dragging, and kicking Cassie Ventura at a Los Angeles hotel. The video supported the claims of violence in Ventura's lawsuit, which Combs described as inexcusable. I'm disgusted, Combs said in the apology video, he released on Instagram and has since taken down. But prior to that, he said it was all a bunch of lies and this never happened and they're just trying to get money out of him. And then there was the video. In addition to Ventura's claims, Combs is battling 9 sex assault lawsuits since November. The most recent filed by porn star Adriana English in federal court in New York. English accuses Combs of sexual assault and harassment, alleging that he demanded she engage in sex acts with guests at his high-profile white parties from 2004 to 2009, charges which Combs denies. Agnifilo emphasized that the Southern District's careful approach, noting, I think the Southern District is appropriately taking its time and considering many different factors. He also highlighted that Combs has not yet spoken with prosecutors and that his legal team is in regular communication with them. The high stakes of the investigation are evident as Combs' public appearances, including boarding his private jet and whitewater rafting in Wyoming, have drawn some criticism. Mitchell Kidd, Ventura's attorney, commented, feels like Diddy's checking off some bucket list items because he knows the walls are closing in and the indictment is waiting in the wings. Combs' legal history in New York dates back more than 20 years when he faced high-profile trials for gun and bribery charges. After a nightclub shootout, represented by Benjamin Brafman, Combs was acquitted after a 6-week trial. Brafman, who also represented Combs in the lead-up to Ventura's lawsuit, declined to comment on Combs' switch to Agnifilo, who was senior trial counsel at Brafman and Associates before the two parted ways in March. Federal grand jury investigation continues into Diddy. Yeah.
I think at some point we're going to get a news alert saying he has been arrested. He is in custody, and things are going to start rolling. I think they're building a tremendous case against this man. I think the whitewater rafting, it was like, you know what? Yeah, I've got some things I'd like to do because I know they're coming for me.
Yeah, it kind of seems that way. Just check off those items on the list because it's party's over. It's interesting with the white parties because those are things that so many people attended. It was like the who's who of Hollywood would be at those things, and the allegations that are being brought from that woman are that they were to drink the women who were there to work the party and hand out drinks and hang out with the guests and all of that. They were to wear black at the white party, almost to signify that they were, and that they could only drink from specific bottles of liquor. And she alleges that they were laced with ecstasy. Now, she wasn't the only woman that worked at these parties that was wearing black. Be interesting to see who else comes forward who worked at these parties who was wearing black that might also be able to corroborate some of that information, because I'm guessing we're going to see more corroboration.
You know, it's interesting. I was watching a repeat of Schitt's Creek. It's kind of my go-to when I'm stressed and the world has me stressed a little bit. So I've been watching a lot of Schitt's Creek. Mm-hmm. They even mentioned Diddy's white party in one of the episodes. I laughed my ass off. Oh, that was funny. That
is funny. That was brought up. But people like Martha Stewart went to those things. Now, I'm not saying Martha Stewart did anything bad. I'm sure plenty of people went to those parties and had absolutely nothing known about any of this. But you got to imagine there's some people at that party knew what the fuck was going down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You know, but Diddy was a huge person in Hollywood. This is anybody who was anybody wanted to be invited to these parties. Yeah. So, Martha Stewart's going to be at the party. But I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, and honestly, is it really a surprise to anyone that insanely rich, high-powered people have employed sex workers at their parties? That to me is not a shock. I mean, is it appropriate? Is it okay? No. Is it something that rampantly has happened in that community for decades? Yes. It's just now people are saying this is not okay. We're putting a microscope on it and saying, what the fuck? Yeah. I mean, fuck. Everybody kept listening to R. Kelly after there was a video of him fucking a 14-year-old in his bathroom in front of his Soul Train Awards. Everybody's like, I got to get down to the remix. Remix to Ignition. You were just fucking a 14-year-old on a video that's being sold on the streets in New York.
Yeah.
I mean, it's stunning the amount of things from that era, from Diddy's prime era. Everybody's kind of looked the other way too, like, well, that's just how it works.
It's amazing what people with money can get away with.
It's amazing what the public accepts as okay behavior from those type of people.
Yeah, that's an even better point.
It's like, oh, I love that song though.
Hey, I still turn off Michael Jackson songs. It comes up on my Apple Music sometimes. Yeah. Like every Monday or Tuesday, it makes up a playlist of songs I might like. Mm-hmm. And every time I go in there and there's a Michael Jackson and I give it a thumbs down, I'm like, knock it the fuck off.
I can separate the artistry from the person, because when I hear those songs, I'm thinking of life experiences and what those connected to those sounds were. But it certainly taints it without a doubt. It certainly taints those songs and those individuals. And it really puts it in a very different perspective. Michael Jackson obviously never convicted of anything. But no. I mean, the public opinion is what it is. R. Kelly convicted without a fucking doubt did what he did. Diddy's looking like it's pretty dark.
Hey, I went to a wedding where I think it was in the last probably 8 or 9 years where one of the songs played like during the ceremony was I Believe I Can Fly.
I still hear exactly.
I'm looking around like, is anybody else feeling what I'm feeling at this moment? And, obviously you and I were big on music. Music was part of our lives for so many years. And I like, as soon as I heard the first 2 notes, I jolted like, whoa, no. Who's playing this? And I'm looking around. Nobody else is having this conniption that I'm having. I'm like, what is going? Who did this? Oh my God!
I can't say that I would ever find an appropriate time in life where I would play "I Believe I Can Fly" for any reason whatsoever. Even if it's like the most spectacular, stunning song that the lyrics accompany whatever event it is, it's still not going to touch that one. Just no. Like
no.
Was it a hit? Was it a good song? Yeah. Was it produced and sung by a horrible human being? Yes. Very much so. But again, I go back to other things too of people that were not convicted of crimes going back even earlier. Look at fucking Elvis.
Oh, yeah.
He married he started dating a 14-year-old when he was in his 20s. And we're all like, well, it was love. And I've even had this argument with adults that are of that era of Elvis. And they don't even want to hear it. They don't want to admit that, kind of predatory as well. I mean, fuck, God, half the songs in that era were about fucking kids. It's like, she's just 17. And there were so many artists that did, too. And they're still played on, really oldie radio or and there's no thought to it whatsoever. It's just that generation seems to be like, well, it was a different time.
It sure as hell was.
It sure as hell was.
Want to listen ad-free? Want advanced access to all of our interviews before anyone else?
Become a True Crime Today Premium Plus subscriber on Apple Podcasts.
You get every episode commercial-free.
So you can binge on True Crime
until you can binge no more.
Search True Crime Today Premium Plus on Apple Podcasts now, or go to our podcast page and sign up now.
More of the Hidden Killers podcast next.